Okay guys, after searching for literally weeks, I have finally found a Credtank. Yes, this is Starfield's rarest spawning thing, an item so rarely seen that most people don't even know it exists. And those who do know it exists don't know how it works. We have people on message boards saying they've never seen one. Someone else said they ran into one of these once in 180 hours. Another said either they're just very rare or I'm unlucky. I just found my first one 200 hours in. So Credtanks are an almost mythically rare spawn in Starfield, and in this video I'll tell you how to find them, or to be more accurate, the conditions in which they began unlocking for me. And trust me guys, it is worth unlocking these because each Credtank is basically full of credits, and they're guaranteed to contain anywhere from 2,000 up to 20,000 credits, and maybe even more, who knows. That's the thing, nobody does. But before we get into it, just do me one small favour and hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying these videos. With that said, let's go. So first, how to unlock Credtanks, otherwise known as Gal Bank caches. To do it, you need to complete a Crimson Fleet faction mission called Eye of the Storm. This is the 7th of 8 missions in the questline, and in Eye of the Storm, the aim is to board Crix's Legacy, a ship lost in an electromagnetic storm. Along the way, you will come across a Gal Bank transfer module, which is an item you take from a body on the ground, and don't worry, it's impossible to miss. This Gal Bank transfer module lets you open Gal Bank Credtanks. Without it, Credtanks will not unlock, so you won't be able to drown yourself in a glorious wave of credits. Once you've completed Eye of the Storm, theoretically this is when Credtanks will start spawning. I'll come back to the theory behind that later, but first, where do they spawn? This is one of the biggest mysteries right now, and no one can really give a definitive answer. So I'll just tell you where one spawned for me. This was during a bounty hunting mission. And if you don't know about bounty hunting missions, guys, to take on a mission of this sort, you can go to a mission terminal in Aquila. One terminal is located behind the bar near the entrance to the settlements. If this terminal doesn't have a bounty hunting mission, try the 3-star Rangers base at the end of this street, as these always have at least one bounty hunting mission guaranteed. But you will need to have completed the 3-star Rangers quest in order to use this terminal. Failing that, you can always build a mission terminal at your outpost and use that. And the specific type of mission we're looking for is one that tasks you with going to an enemy base to take out a high-level enemy. This can be a Crimson Fleet pirate, a gang leader, or an ecliptic mercenary. Any one of those will do. The mission I'm taking on is to head to an abandoned weapon station on Hawking 1A, which is a planet in the Hawking system. And if you've logged a few hours in Starfield already, you'll know that Bethesda use a lot of the same designs for their locations. So you'll know the layout to this weapon station if you've been here before. This means you'll likely know where a Credtank will spawn. For instance, they wouldn't just be out in the open anywhere. They'll probably be in a back room behind a locked door or located near the high level targets. So when you're looking for Credtanks, keep that in mind and look further into the outpost where you would typically find the loot. So open all the locked doors, look behind corners, and just keep your eyes open basically. Now I'm not sure if they replace these big yellow chests or if these Credtanks spawn in addition to yellow chests, but what you could do is visit the location of where you know a yellow chest normally spawns and see if this has been replaced by a Credtank. But at this point it's all speculation, so let me know in the comments if you've got any thoughts on the mechanics behind this whole thing. And we're being very sneaky here. The good thing about completing the Crimson Fleet questline is that if you side with a Crimson Fleet at the end, Crimson Fleet pirates will no longer be hostile to you. So they're not attacking me here, as you can see, which makes bounty hunting missions a whole lot easier. Although obviously when you shoot one, they will turn aggro. And we're checking behind locked doors and in the back rooms for the Credtank. This is probably where it's likely to spawn. And here we go, finally, the long-awaited Credtank. A big moment. Hours and hours of Starfield playtime will pass before you see one, because for some reason, it's just stupidly rare, and no one knows anything about them. But let me tell you, when you finally find one, it is glorious. Now, bounty hunting missions aren't the only places these Credtanks have been spotted. Other people have said they've appeared inside random points of interest, such as civilian, mining, industrial, and science outposts. They've also seen them at the top of research towers. So to recap, that gives you about 6 examples of locations to go and look for Credtanks in. Again, these are civilian, mining, industrial, and science outposts, research towers, and weapon stations. The reason I recommend looking for Credtanks on bounty hunting missions, though, is because you always get something at the end of them, even if you don't find that mythical Credtank. For instance, the elite enemy will always drop a rare, epic, or legendary gear piece, and there will likely be another high-level gear piece inside a chest somewhere. And of course, you also get the 3,200 credit reward and some experience for completing the bounty. So finding a Credtank during one of these missions would just be a bonus, really. By contrast, heading to a civilian outpost and looking for a Credtank, then coming up empty-handed and flying away all sad is not a fun time. You didn't get anything for your trouble. At least with bounty hunting missions, you get a little consolation prize. And you know what? It's not even about the money at this point. Like, I have enough money in the game that 20k isn't going to affect me. But what I'm really after here is trying to decode the mystery of how these Credtanks actually work and how to get them to spawn regularly. Like, what conditions do they unlock under, and how do we see more of them? I've given you one example here, but it might differ in your game. So as I say, there is no known logic behind their spawn rate or spawn location. Some players have even reported seeing them before they even complete the Eye of the Storm quest. But because they don't have the Galbank transfer module you get from the quest, they can't open them. A Reddit poster called Sinister Design, for example, says, "I've come across at least 3 Credtanks outside the Eye of the Storm questline. The only option is to activate it. It whirs and then goes dark. Is there a secret to opening these? Are they encrypted, or are they just bogus treasure chests that get our hopes up?" Now, what I think is that these players are on New Game Plus, so in a previous playthrough, they have completed Eye of the Storm, causing Credtanks to spawn, but they haven't completed it on New Game Plus, meaning they haven't yet got the module required to open it. But hey, if I'm wrong and you're in your first playthrough and you've already seen these Credtanks before completing the Eye of the Storm, that torpedoes my whole theory, so let me know down in the comments. Some Starfield players are speculating that Credtanks appear when you hit a certain character level. This level is not known, but since Credtanks weren't really seen at the beginning of Starfield's launch, and around the time it launched, you could only assume they start spawning when players hit something like level 100. Similarly, they could also just be spawning in high level systems. So if you go looking for them, you might have more luck being level 100 and higher, and also looking for them in a system rated 60 or higher. Those are just random numbers though, because of course, no one knows. This is all one big mystery. One of the biggest of all being, what even are Credtanks? Like, all they hold is credits. Why does it need to be that big? Maybe it's just a massive terminal that has a stupidly huge number in it, and when you crack that number with the transfer module, you get access to the credits. So it's sort of like in the form of cryptocurrency. But then why go to all the trouble of hiding just 20k inside a huge chest? Who is lugging that around with them? Who is this for? Well, that's one mystery we've cracked. It's for me. These credits are all now mine. My thanks to the Galbank Corporation, but my even greater thanks to you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, and for more Starfield videos, subscribe to the channel.